We are less than 14 days away from the Royal Rumble. Supposedly, it is the kickoff to WrestleMania season, and it does not feel like that we're 2 weeks away from the Royal Rumble. Welcome into another edition of Squared Circle Radio live right here on our YouTube channel. We appreciate you guys being tuned in live with us, or if you're watching the replay, that's fine too. Or if you're listening on podcast, that's fine too. Either way, we appreciate your support. My name is Chris Belcher, Mr. Podcasting, a Sportswire Radio Hall of Fame inductee. We appreciate you guys being with us. Like the video. That's that little thumbs up button at the bottom. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. That helps us a ton. And like I said, drop those comments, drop those questions. We are taking them live tonight. I know Monday Night Raw was earlier in the day today. We are reacting to it. We are previewing Saturday night's main event. We got a lot to talk about here on the podcast. So want your opinion, want your thoughts. Make sure that you share that in the chat. And if you're not watching live, if you're just listening on replay or watching on replay or what have you, you can still share comments and questions, and we'll get back to each and every one of those. I mentioned that the Royal Rumble is 2 weeks away, and I want to start there for just a minute before we dive into what happened on Raw, and then, of course, Saturday night's main event. As you can see, I'm wearing my Royal Rumble hoodie from going to the Royal Rumble last year in Indianapolis. And much like last year in Indianapolis, this year, the Rumble is full of stars. Now, I know we only have like Cody Rhodes confirmed or whatever, but you got to think Cody's going to be in the Rumble. Jacob Fatu's going to be in the Rumble. You've got Braun Breaker's going to be in the Royal Rumble. You're probably going to have Roman Reigns come back and be in the Rumble. Oh, yeah, they're in Saudi Arabia, so you're probably going to have legends come back and be in the Rumble. Maybe a Batista, maybe a Chris Jericho. Who knows who they're going to pull out of the woodwork for this Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. So I say all that to say, we're going to preview the Royal Rumble next week on this show. But you can go one or two ways here. You can go as a safe bet as we punch our ticket to WrestleMania. You can go as a safe bet as to who is going to win the Rumble and headline WrestleMania. A Seth Rollins return and he wins. That's a safe bet. A Roman Reigns win. That is a very safe bet. A Cody Rhodes win. That is a very safe bet. Would only be the second person in history to win the Royal Rumble 3 times, the other one being Stone Cold Steve Austin. Those are all safe bets. Any of these stars could win the Rumble, and it would make sense. But last year in Indianapolis, we saw how big of a deal it was that Jey Uso was the one that won the Royal Rumble. So could you do that this year? 2 years in a row, make a big star win the Royal Rumble. Somebody like Braun Breaker. We know he's already had a shot at CM Punk, primed and ready to go. What about Jacob Fatu? He's seemingly inserting himself into the world title picture on SmackDown. What if he wins the Royal Rumble? Okay. So we're going to dive into it. We're going to tell you how we would book it. Coming up next week, Andy York is going to be back with me, and we're going to dive into the Royal Rumble next week. So that's next week. But let's talk about this week. Let's talk about Monday Night Raw, which ended just a couple of hours ago. It was live from Ireland. And I think next week they're going to be in Toronto. So we're going to be back to our normal, regularly scheduled live show after Raw. So that'll be coming up a little bit later than this time, probably around 10:30 Eastern time. That's normally about when they wrap up Raw, and that's when we'll go live right here on the YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell, all of those things. But Monday Night Raw ended with a fantastic main event in Ireland between the hometown boy, Finn Balor, and the World Heavyweight Champion, CM Punk. And after a hard-fought match, an incredible Raw main event, CM Punk is victorious and retains his championship on the road to WrestleMania. Now, I'm just saying, I didn't expect Finn Balor to win this. I know a lot of people, including Andy York, really wanted Finn Balor to win this. And rightfully so. Balor's only had one world title reign in 10 years, and it only lasted 24 hours. So he deserves a world championship win, and he's had a couple of cracks at it. You know, he wrestled Seth for it. I think he wrestled, he didn't wrestle Priest for it. Seth most recently for it. Wrestled Roman for it. I know Andy doesn't like to talk about that match. But he's wrestled for it, and he's never won it. So lots of people wanted to see him win. I think in a different time in the year, you could have pulled this off, especially in with the Ireland crowd, because everybody was behind him and everybody wanted to see it. That coup de grace false finish was good. Had everybody. But I think Punk needs to be your world heavyweight champion going into WrestleMania. If he's not going to lose it to a bigger star like Brock Lesnar or somebody like that going at the Royal Rumble, or maybe even at the Elimination Chamber. Regardless, a fantastic showing from Finn Balor, reminding everybody why he is as good as he is, still on top of his game. And he also came out to his old music, which everybody loved. And definitely played up the babyface here in Ireland, as he should. But he played up the old Finn Balor. And at the end of the night, we got a mutual show of respect between Balor and Punk. Punk shook his hand. Punk raised his hand. So did we get a full-on face turn? I'm not quite convinced just yet. A lot of people in the internet wrestling community are convinced that this is the face turn. We did the face music. We did the handshake. We have babyface Finn Balor. I'm not so sure just yet. Because when Finn Balor exited the ring and Punk was celebrating, he was still eyeing up Punk. He was eyeing up that championship, which makes me believe there was a chance he was going to go back in there and attack him. I was waiting for it, honestly. But it didn't happen. So I think there's still some layers to peel apart with this Finn Balor character. We'll see. I don't know. We're going to talk about the Judgment Day here in just a little bit when we talk about Saturday night's main event with Liv and Raquel and Roxanne and all that kind of stuff. But a great main event on Monday Night Raw. Of course, CM Punk retaining his championship over Finn Balor. What a great match it was. Let's talk about some other things from Monday Night Raw. And one of those being the character change of Natty. We finally get the Natty heel turn that we've been waiting for a long, long time. And you wonder if you should have done this in the States, where the people might have been behind Maxine Dupree just a little bit more. Because after all, we were in Ireland, and Maxine Dupree did wrestle Becky Lynch. So she was playing an away game, as CM Punk said. So it might not have been, because you want the heel turn to be as impactful as possible. So you want the people to be behind Maxine, and then you've got Natty coming in there and getting the heat, which the people booed Natty, and it was fine. And we've all been wanting this character change. Hopefully we get full-on living legend Natty, as we saw in GCW and Bloodsport and some other places, and in the training videos. So hopefully that's what we're going to get. But you could have held it off till next week, I guess, because they're going to be in Canada. But regardless, the Natty heel turn has happened, and we're pretty excited about it. Let me talk about something that I'm not entirely excited about. Last week on Raw, as you see here on your screen, Gunther and AJ Styles were in the main event, and AJ Styles thought he had Gunther tapped out. Gunther outsmarted him, used a low blow, powerbombed him 1, 2, 3. So Gunther comes out to begin Monday Night Raw tonight and is flapping his gums. And AJ Styles interrupts and he says, I'm not done with you. And he wants a singles match at the Royal Rumble. And Gunther says, the only way you are getting a singles match at the Royal Rumble, AJ Styles, is if you put your career on the line. And wouldn't you know it, AJ Styles says yes. Man. The career killer is at it again. And we all kind of assumed that Gunther would end AJ Styles' career in 2026 because AJ Styles has been very public in saying that 2026 is his last year. And in fact, I'm fairly certain he did an interview, and I don't recall exactly which one, where he said February 2026 is when his contract is up. Well, he didn't give a date, but the date of the Royal Rumble is January the 31st. So I'm not exactly sure what day in February. It could be February 1st. Who knows? AJ also said that he was working on getting an extension through WrestleMania. So with this career match coming up at the Rumble, did they not get the extension worked out? Or did they? And AJ's going to win. Interesting. I'll say this. A singles non-title match at a Royal Rumble is huge in this era. Because last year at the Rumble in Indianapolis, you had the men's match, the women's match, Rumble matches I'm speaking of, Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, and then the 2 out of 3 falls tag team match for the tag team championship, DIY Motor City Machine Guns. So now that we have the women's Rumble and it's way more prominent, and we also have shorter PLEs, you don't often get singles matches at the Rumble that are not for a championship. You just don't have time. So for this match to be confirmed for the Royal Rumble next week, tells me that either we're going to have a 5-match card or AJ Styles' career might be over with. And I don't like that. I was not ready for that to start 2026. I had accepted the fact that AJ Styles' career is going to end in 2026. And AJ Styles has said, look, I don't necessarily want you to know when my last match is. I just want to wrestle it and be done. I think Jericho has said the same thing too. But in any event, his career is on the line at the Royal Rumble. 10 years after he debuted in the WWE at the 2016 Royal Rumble. So I don't know. I think there's a world where AJ Styles wins this match and I don't know, maybe he sneaks a win. I don't expect it to be like a DQ finish or anything. He sneaks a win and they extend this to WrestleMania. And then Gunther beats him at WrestleMania. Or AJ Styles truly retires at the Royal Rumble in less than 14 days. I'm not ready for that. Aaron Grisham is live with us in the chat. The walls will be broke down in Saudi. We hope so, Aaron. But Aaron, tell me, since you're live with us in the chat, what do you think about this AJ Gunther thing? Like I said, I wasn't ready for AJ's career to possibly be over in 14 days. Thought I at least had like 2 months. I mean, come on. I don't know. I'm just not ready for it. Okay. Aaron's with me in the chat. Aaron, you can chat with me. This is fine. Nickname for Gunther. Hear me out. Okay. I'm ready for you. Ready? The Legend Killer. If somebody hadn't come up with that already, Aaron, I mean, my goodness. You'd think somebody would have used that already, right? That goes to show you right there, Aaron, who is on the list of Gunther for this career killer nonsense. Orton will be there. Don't you worry. But man, AJ Styles, his career is on the line. Aaron says, sounds like you're not hearing me out. I'm hearing you out. I just might. I think it's more legend killer versus career killer. And then maybe the winner gets to keep the gimmick or the moniker. I don't know. Maybe. I'm hearing you out. I'm just pushing back a little. That's all. Listen, Aaron, you put the Mona Lisa in front of me and I'm going to criticize it. Okay. I mean, come on. You know that better than anybody. Come on now. We're having a good time. Here's Squared Circle Radio. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, that's an inside joke. You're not meant to get it. But Aaron is rolling laughing right now because he understands what I'm talking about. All right. We appreciate you guys being tuned in with us. This is Squared Circle Radio, a Sports Wire Radio Hall of Fame podcast. My name is Chris Belcher. Thank you for hanging out with us. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do so. If you haven't liked the video, that's a thumbs up button at the bottom. Please make sure that you do that. If you haven't followed us on social media, at SQ_radio, and I am at Chris Belcher 24. Speaking of Sports Wire Radio, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a little pause for the cause, and let's hear a little word from the Reverend Tom Bryce about what else you can expect on the great station that is Sports Wire Radio.
Looking for all the latest happenings in the world of sports and wrestling? Well, you're in luck because Sports Wire Radio has you covered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days a year. With great shows in the world of sports, such as the Pinstripe Chronicles, hosted by Uncle Tats, Donald Stewart, and Rob Barrows. New York Baseball Talk with Chris Bazaya and Rob Maraska. The Liftoff Jets, also hosted by Chris Bazaya and Sharman Phillip. Neil Villapiano and the Devil's State of Mind. Randy Dylan's Hockey Fan Chat. In the world of wrestling, Sports Wire Radio has you covered with Squared Circle Radio, featuring Chris Belcher, Andy York, and Jared Justice. Those sit-down marks with DB, Primo, AJ, and Michael. A work in progress, featuring the Mayor of Canton, Piles, and Glenn Abbott. You can catch all of these great shows and more anytime, anywhere, and any place via the Listen Live button on sportswireradio.org, and you can also catch Sports Wire Radio anytime on YouTube at Sports Wire Radio 6579 to catch all the latest happenings in the world of wrestling. Sports Wire Radio has you covered. It's all sports matters and all wrestling matters here on Sports Wire Radio. I am your host, the owner of Sports Wire Radio, the #1 global radio station, the owner of the Promo Wrestling Federation, and one of the owners of the Pride Wrestling Federation. Your voice, figuratively and literally, where all wrestling matters, the Reverend Tom Bryce.
Thank you, Tom Bryce and Aaron. They play this for the troops before invading a country. Listen, Kurt Signetti has nothing on Tom Bryce and that big Tom energy. Let me just tell you. Shout out to Tom Bryce for all he does for our show, for playing our show, for inducting us into the Hall of Fame. All of the things, as Jared would always say, we got to bring that big Tom energy. We got to keep this show rolling. We are going to do just that. As I already mentioned, the Royal Rumble is less than 2 weeks away, but we have a stop along the way this Saturday in Montreal, Saturday night's main event. 3 matches confirmed so far. I assume a 4th will get confirmed on Friday during SmackDown, or they'll announce something on social media. We'll have to see. But regardless, the night will be headlined by a fatal 4-way to determine the #1 contender for Drew McIntyre's undisputed WWE Championship, which will take place at the Royal Rumble next weekend. Those 4 participants, if you don't already know, it's Randy Orton, it's Damian Priest, it's Sami Zayn, and it is the newcomer, Trick Williams. Now, all 4 of these guys have a case to win this match and to go take on Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. So let's dive into them just a little bit here. And I'll tell you my pick at the end. Let's talk about Damian Priest. Damian Priest, a former world heavyweight champion, cashed in Money in the Bank on Drew McIntyre. at WrestleMania 40. Now, some would say that Drew McIntyre got his revenge last year at WrestleMania 41 when he beat Damian Priest one-on-one. It was like a Las Vegas street fight or some sort of, I think it was some sort of stip match. Regardless, they had a cage match too, and I think Priest won that at some point. Anyway, they have their history, right? They have their history. And Damian Priest was quick to bring that up this past week on SmackDown when he was talking about how much he needs the world championship back. And let's be honest, Damian Priest has not been the same superstar since he was world heavyweight champion. He had a nice run there for a little while, defending against Seth Rollins, defending against, Drew McIntyre. Yep. So Drew and Seth, and then he lost it to Gunther at SummerSlam last year, not this past SummerSlam, one before that. So Priest needs to pick me up. He's sort of ridden that wave of being champion, and it's gone out to shore, and we need something else for him. Of course, he's been injured. He's been nursing some injuries. So we'll see what happens with Damian Priest. I think, again, he's got a legit shot to win this match. As I talked about with the Royal Rumble earlier in the show, all four of these guys have legit claims to winning this match. And it wouldn't shock me for any of them to face Drew McIntyre. It would be a legitimate world championship match at Royal Rumble. So that's Damian Priest. Let's talk about the newcomer. Let's talk about Trick Williams. Now, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to turn on Friday Night SmackDown and to realize how high that WWE is on Trick Williams. He was in the opening segment with Randy Orton. And then he has a match with Matt Cardona. And then he attacks Sami Zayn at the end of the show. Literally beginning, middle, and end of the show. I'm going to talk about that here in just a minute with Cody Rhodes as well. But Trick Williams, as you can see, the dude looks like $1 million. Incredible athleticism. If you watched on YouTube, you see this screenshot of when he defeated Rey Fenix last week on SmackDown. So Trick Williams, I'm not going to say he's getting the rocket strapped to him, but man, for the dude to debut on SmackDown this year and be on his way to a potential world championship match, I mean, you have to see the potential there. Now, is he still green? Does he still have a ways to go? Yes, he does. But you better believe in a match with three veterans like Damian Priest, Randy Orton, and Sami Zayn, that Trick Williams is going to look like $1 million in this match. They will make him look absolutely incredible at the end of this match. And that's not to say he doesn't already, as I just went through what he's done so far. And he's got good promo skills. And the pop that he gets when his music hits. Man, this dude's a star. Former TNA champion. Former NXT. I mean, the dude has a bright future ahead of him. Let's just say that. Let's talk about Randy Orton, shall we? Randy Orton, the legend killer, like Aaron mentioned earlier. Randy Orton has had his eye on the undisputed WWE Championship for a long, long time. You see that picture of Randy and Cody a couple of weeks ago, where he publicly declared to Cody for the first time that he was coming after his championship. He's been eyeing it for quite some time before that. But Cody is, of course, not the champion anymore. And Andy and I discussed on this podcast how interesting it would be to have a Randy Orton-Drew McIntyre match. Because after all, as Orton mentioned in his promo on Friday, he did beat Drew McIntyre for that championship in 2020. And Drew McIntyre turned around and beat him for it, but still. So, and anytime that Randy Orton gets near a championship, You just never know what's going to happen. Randy Orton is just that kind of guy. If you need a safety net for a championship, Randy Orton's the guy. If you need a guy to put somebody over to make a champion more credible, there's not too many people better on the roster. Dare I say he might be number one, Randy Orton. So, I don't have to keep spelling out the case for Randy Orton to win this fatal four-way match. It's very, very clear. 23 years into the business, and he's one of the most popular wrestlers on the roster right now. Yeah. I could easily see Randy Orton winning this fatal four-way and going all the way to the Royal Rumble. Not all the way. It's just 1 week away in Saudi Arabia. It is a long way to go, though. Randy Orton winning this fatal four-way and going to the Rumble to face Drew McIntyre. Now, while all three of them, let me digress real quick before I get to the last one. I mentioned Trick Williams defeating Matt Cardona. Listen, Matt Cardona on SmackDown last week got a nice reaction. Both when they were doing the entrance walk at the beginning of the show, and then when his music hit and came out for his match, Matt got a really good reaction. Especially for being a guy who was a glorified jobber when he was with the company, several years back. Got a really nice reaction. Now, a lot of people on the internet are saying that Matt Cardona is already buried because he's in a feud with Kit Wilson. Come on. Let's not put the cart before the horse just yet. All right, let's give him time. Let's give him time. He is in the championship picture because he called out Cody, and he was in this match. Now, did he lose? Yes, he did. He's not in the fatal four-way at Saturday night's main event, but still, Matt Cardona's in a good spot. So, of all three of the competitors in the match that I just made the case for, Damian Priest, Trick Williams, Drew McIntyre, the best case that I can make for this fatal four-way is the case that I made the night Drew McIntyre defeated Cody Rhodes for the championship, and I am still sticking with this pick. If I had the pencil, and I'm booking Saturday night's main event, the underdog Sami Zayn is going to win this fatal four-way and go on to face Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. And I'll give you several reasons. Number one, Saturday night's main event is taking place in Sami Zayn's hometown of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Need I say more? Number two, the Royal Rumble is taking place in Saudi Arabia, which Sami Zayn has strong ties to. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I know exactly what his ties are, and it has to do with his religion and all this, that, and the other. And I'm not going to downplay that. I'm not going to do any of that. I'm not going to try to explain it. I just know he has strong ties to Saudi Arabia. So if you want to find a way to get some heat on a heel Drew McIntyre, let him beat Sami Zayn in Saudi Arabia. That would be the way to go. And a third reason, look at the history that these two guys have. Look at it. They faced at Saturday night's main event not that long ago. Sami was part of the bloodline, which Drew despised, ruined his life, all of this, that, and the other. There's a history there. And if I need to add another thing, Sami Zayn has been preaching for a year now that he needs to be a world champion. That's why he came to SmackDown, to be a world champion. Well, here's your shot, Sami. Now, I said if I had the pencil, I would book Sami Zayn to win this match and to go to the Royal Rumble to face Drew McIntyre. That's where the buck stops, because I would book Drew McIntyre to beat Sami Zayn in an incredible match at the Royal Rumble. I mean, come on. there's not too many guys on the roster, aside from Roman Reigns, which we saw at the Elimination Chamber 2023, who can make it so close and so believable that Sami Zayn could be world champion. I think Drew McIntyre can do the same. I really do. So again, Sami Zayn would be my pick if I had the pencil to win the Fatal 4-Way at Saturday night's main event coming up this weekend and go on to face Drew McIntyre next week at the Royal Rumble. Now, you've got these 4 guys that are vying for a shot at Drew McIntyre. And you had 4 guys get eliminated on the way that were in the hunt for the WWE Championship. That was Ilya Dragunov. That was Matt Cardona. That was The Miz. And that was Solo Sikoa. But those aren't the only guys that are after the World Heavyweight, or the WWE Championship. Because Cody Rhodes, the former champion, wants his title back, understands that there's no rematch clause. He's going to have to win the Royal Rumble. But the only reason he's got to do all those things is because in the 3 stages of Hell match, Jacob Fatu returned, attacked Drew McIntyre, attacked Cody Rhodes, and costed Cody the championship. So now Cody wants his revenge. Cody and Jacob called each other out, and they just went to blows Friday night on SmackDown, which led to the match being official. Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu coming up this Saturday. Now, before I dive into Cody and Jacob, I just mentioned that everybody is vying for the championship. I just rattled off 8 guys. Count Cody and Jacob, that's 10 guys that are actively pursuing Drew McIntyre in the championship. And it's just, that's number one, that makes the title feel important. That makes the championship feel like the ultimate prize on Friday Night SmackDown. Maybe in all of WWE. You got a couple guys chasing it on Raw, but this makes it feel like the important prize that it should be. Makes it feel like the one goal that everybody is trying to attain. And I think that's a product of this era. You know, SmackDown is 3 hours now. And you wonder, how do you make that show interesting for 3 hours? Well, one way is you have everybody vying for the championship. You have everybody have that one goal in mind. And we're seeing that right now. The other way, I mentioned it earlier with Trick Williams being at the beginning of the show, the middle of the show, and the end of the show. Look at Cody Rhodes. He wasn't at the very beginning of the show, but we saw Cody pretty quick on the show, cutting a promo. And then we saw Jacob Fatu come out, call out Cody. And again, they went to blows. So you've got Cody sprinkled throughout the show. You got other superstars sprinkled. Drew was sprinkled throughout the entire show as well. Which, by the way, his bagpipe entrance at the beginning of the show was just incredible. As much as I love Cody Rhodes, it was refreshing to see somebody else with the championship. It felt like the show had a little bit of life. But all that to say, the way to make a 3-hour show feel good is you sprinkle superstars throughout the whole show. So no longer can you just tune in for one Cody Rhodes segment and be done. Gone are those previous days when wrestling shows were booked segment by segment by segment. And once that segment was done, it was done. No, we've got quite a bit of overlap. We're seeing that in the women's division too, which we're about to talk about with the tag team championship. There's quite a bit of overlap going on. So, just makes the show feel really good. All right. Let's go back to Cody. Let's go back to Jacob. I mentioned Cody's promo, and Cody got booed during this promo. They sang his entrance. Then he got booed. But then Cody Rhodes does what Cody Rhodes does. And he cuts this passionate promo. And wouldn't you know it, he flips the crowd on its head and they're cheering for him. He does it every time. I don't know how. He just does. But needless to say, I feel like we're splitting the audience here. I don't like this match. That's what I'm trying to get at. I don't like the match. Jacob Fatu just returned from injury, and he's one of your biggest stars. I just mentioned him at the top of the show as a potential Royal Rumble winner. So I don't know why you would take a guy that you're clearly trying to build and make a big deal against the guy who just lost the WWE Championship, and you're trying to keep him relevant and keep him back up. Like, I understand, I guess, the Cody rub on Jacob and all that kind of stuff, but I just feel like doesn't somebody have to lose this match? I don't feel like either of them should lose this match. Again, splitting the audience. I don't like it. Cody shouldn't even be on TV yet. What are we even talking about? Andy and I talked about that last week. We don't even need to see Cody Rhodes right now. But I guess if you're not going to have a championship match other than the women's tag match, a world championship match on Saturday night's main event, I guess you need Cody Rhodes to carry the show. Regardless, the match is happening. There has to be an outcome. And my outcome, if I had the pencil, this is a DQ finish, a double count out finish, something to that effect. That way that they can get tangled up in the Royal Rumble, maybe cost each other the Rumble. I don't know. But I just do not have a clean finish here. I just don't think it's a good idea with Cody and Jacob. Because I think if Cody wins, people are going to boo Cody even more. If Jacob wins, people are going to boo Cody even more. And I don't think it's a good idea. I don't like it. Just don't like it. All right, I mentioned the women's tag team match. Let's talk about it. Rhea and Io defending the women's tag team championship against Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez. And we saw on Monday Night Raw today, there was a little promo back and forth, and it ended with a beatdown thanks to Raquel Rodriguez helping out her Judgment Day sisters. So lots of different ways you can go with this match. Honestly, I mean, we heard Raquel Rodriguez talking about Stephanie Vaquer and her not being cleared yet. So she seems to be on her way to a women's championship. We talked about Finn Balor earlier, and we're not sure exactly where he's going to go as the quote-unquote leader of the Judgment Day. Liv and Roxanne seemingly haven't seen eye to eye, and there was a little bit of backstage interaction that might lead you to believe that they still might not see eye to eye, even though they look like they're on the same page. So could we see a Judgment Day split out of this match? Could we see Raquel Rodriguez winning the women's championship from Stephanie Vaquer eventually, and Liv Morgan being the winner of the women's Royal Rumble coming up next week? And then she challenges Raquel. Could we see that happen? Could this be the end of the team that I've long said that needs to break up? Rhea and Io. Could they split up? Now, I don't know that it necessarily makes sense for them to split up without the Kabuki Warriors being involved, because that was sort of where Io was caught in the middle. They were their friends, Asuka and Kairi Sane, and then her friend Rhea Ripley. So I don't know that it makes sense for them to split without them involved. Maybe they do get involved. It is a tag team championship. I mentioned Kabuki Warriors are after it. The former champions, Charlotte and Alexa, are after it. Nia Jax and Lash Legend are after it. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria are after the championship. So lots of teams involved here. You could see a lot of them get involved in this match. I think if I had the pencil, I would probably just book Rhea and Io to win this one clean. And we could be headed to a huge multi-women tag match at WrestleMania like Andy predicted last week. Got lots of teams involved. We'll see. I don't know. But only 3 matches again on Saturday night's main event. We'll see if another one gets added this Friday on SmackDown. Now, one thing that we didn't get to last week, as a swig of Mountain Dew here for the working man, stand by. Again, I feel like the ice is loud in the microphone. I'm sorry if it is. One thing that Andy and I did not get to last week because we sort of ran out of time. I always like to throw in some old school when we do these podcasts because it's what I grew up on. That's not an old joke. That's not to say that I'm old. I just have watched wrestling for a long time. Okay. So last week, we failed to mention that 33 years ago last week, on January the 11th, 1993, Monday Night Raw debuted from the Manhattan Center in New York City. 33 years ago last week, the longest running episodic television show in history. And you're saying, Chris, man, that's a long time ago. What even happened on that show? Does anybody even remember? The show kicked off with Yokozuna versus Koko Beware. And on that show, The Undertaker was there. Of course, you see him with Paul Bearer. Taker wrestled in the main event. I think against Damian Demento, if I'm not mistaken. And also, the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels was on that show. And he wrestled, I think this is Max Moon. That's who this is in the ring. I don't remember the character name, but if you look closely under that mask and you're a WCW fan, you might notice that's Conan under that mask. K-Dog under that mask against Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels. So congratulations to Monday Night Raw. 33 years. Pretty much every single week for 33 years. Preempted by dog shows on USA. I remember those days. Westminster Dog Show, I think it was called. And they did some Thursday shows or whatever. But 33 years. Monday Night Raw. Man, it's incredible. Seems like with Netflix, it's just going to keep going. So, congratulations to WWE. Congratulations to Monday Night Raw. Now, as we look back this week in history, of course, I'll talk about the Royal Rumble. Lots of Royal Rumbles have happened around this time. I don't even need to list them all because they all happened in late January. So, it's Royal Rumble season. Again, I said it earlier, it doesn't necessarily feel like it, but it is. The Royal Rumble is next week. Next Saturday, January 31st. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. I do plan on doing it. It's in Saudi Arabia, so it's going to be like a 2 p.m. Eastern start time, 1 p.m. Eastern, something like that. Do plan on hopefully doing a live show after the Royal Rumble, instant reaction. Hopefully that'll work out. So stay locked into the channel, stay locked into social media, and we'll let you know if that's coming. Speaking of the channel, talked about it earlier in the show. I think Monday Night Raw goes back to its normal start time next week. So we'll be live right after Monday Night Raw on the YouTube channel. That's next Monday. But this week, probably Thursday, WWE Unreal Season 2 comes out this week. It drops in about a couple of hours. So Andy and I are going to binge watch Unreal Season 2, and we're going to drop a reaction show for you probably on Thursday. Probably. We'll see. Probably drop it on Thursday. So, very much looking forward to seeing what WWE Unreal Season 2 has to offer. All right. That's going to do it for another edition of Squared Circle Radio. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much to Sports Wire Radio for inducting us into their Hall of Fame, for playing our shows. All that Tom Bryce and that crew does for us, could not thank them enough. Could not thank you enough, our viewers and our listeners. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube or on podcast, whichever you are listening or watching. We would appreciate it. You can drop those comments and questions. Even if you're not watching live, you can drop them and we'll go back and we'll react to them. My name is Chris Belcher. I appreciate you guys being with us on another edition of Squared Circle Radio. We will catch you guys down the road.